So I recently received a message from a student who is experiencing a problem in the sense that it's a challenge when it comes to client briefs and having design inspiration to brainstorm ideas about how the UI should look like or what to include. So I wanted to shoot a quick video briefly explaining my entire workflow process whenever I'm working with a client, and this is going to be especially useful when working with freelance clients. So starting from the very first part, and then we're going to go into the visual design and how this all works together seamlessly, because each and every element is going to have an impact in how efficient and smooth the workflow is going to be. So starting from the first part, we're going to talk about the strategy goal. So the strategy call is essentially a call that you have with the client, and you want to extract as much information as you can when it comes to the specifics of the project. But not only that, you want to understand what are the client's needs, what is the main pain point that they are experiencing, and not just the client, but more specifically the user. So what is the pain point that the service or product that the client is offering is going to solve? What is their USP, so their unique selling proposition? Who are the competitors? And learn about the target market. So this is going to be really useful. There's so much nuances that you can learn from the actual call that I highly recommend you to do it that way first. Then ask for some useful documentations and resources, and usually clients will have some PDFs and resources that they can send over when it comes to the strategy, the target market, and all that. And if it's going to be overwhelming in the sense that they have a lot of documentation that you need to go through, don't worry, because that is where ChatGPT can help within the very next step. So the next step is going to be about the information architecture. So how are we going to put everything together? See that we're building a website. In the specific example of the student that asked me of a video production or construction company, I would ask them all sorts of questions about themselves. How are they different from their competitors, and what is their angle? Asking any useful documentation and resource. And right after that, you want to utilize ChatGPT in order to help figure out what is going to be the wireframe structure for that specific landing page. Now, the way that you're going to create a wireframe is going to rely around a concept of information hierarchy. So you want to keep at the very top of the website the things which are extremely important for the client to communicate, and at the very lowest level the things which are going to be least important. So you can see how, based on what they told you in the strategy call and the documentation that they sent over, you can figure this out. And it's not just a one-way process. You can actually send over the client an idea of what you think could be a good wireframe with this information hierarchy point in mind. And you can ask them, is this resonating with you? Is this actually accurate? So this is going to help you really check this point from a structural point of view. So you can see how all this work is before we even jump in Figma and really go into the nitty-gritty, because it's going to help you have a rock solid foundation, and especially the client is going to agree upon the foundation before you work on any design. So it's just going to make the process way smoother in terms of expectation management, and really be sure that you're achieving a high level of information architecture. Now this of course works very simply for a simple landing page, but say that you're working on a multi-page website, which is most websites, frankly. Well, before you even go to this step, you want to analyze and think about all of the different pages that the website might have. And then again, you do exactly the same process of reverse engineering what are going to be the very most important pages. So for example, the very most important page in the vast majority of cases is going to be the landing page. So that's probably going to be the one that you're going to work on the most and you're going to work on first. And maybe there's a feature page or a portfolio page, which is the second most important. And the least important is probably going to be a privacy policy or terms and conditions. So you wanted to essentially create this architecture, and then you can go into the nitty-gritty of working on each and every single page one by one, but with a clear roadmap of what is going to be the most important page that you're going to work on first, and then all the other ones. So this is kind of a way to structure in a solid way the project, and after that, say that you're working on the home page, what you want is to create a visual wireframe which is going to be really rough. So I want to emphasize the rough part of this because you don't want to work with great visuals, and you don't want to add colors, you don't want to add any element which is going to basically distract the client from seeing if the main communication points are being tackled or not. And these wireframes can also be without the text necessarily, so it can even be something like that. As you can see, just to communicate, the idea that here we're going to have a headline, here we're going to have some sub-headlines. Yeah, you know what I'm referring to. And this is going to help to basically agree upon the basic structure. Not saying that during the design phase we're going to change the layout, maybe this is going to be displayed completely differently. So this is the reason why I want to emphasize that this is just a very rough wireframe that you want to achieve. And once you have approval from the client on the general direction, it's really hard for them and also for yourself to mess up the visual design part in the sense that this structure is going to give you a checklist and checkbox for having a solid structure. And by the way, I added also these checks here, and the reason why I added them is just a reminder that you want to have the client agree upon the different steps so that it's going to be easier to manage expectations all across the process and the project as a whole. Now, when we go into the visual design, this is where things get interesting because I realized how much time can go into creating a really nice visual design, and how easy it is for maybe investing a lot of time and resources into something which isn't quite in line with what the client is looking for, since visual design is the more subjective part of this process. So what I recommend you to do is to create maybe 1, 2, or 3 concepts. Usually I like between 2 and 3 concepts of just the top section of the website, so that you don't invest a lot of time into creating the entire landing page, but you still have enough to show the client an idea of what the visual direction can look like for that specific project. And once they like a specific one, then you can continue to the final step, which is going to be the full design of the page, and then you can go and repeat the process for all the other pages, and you have a happy client. Now, when it comes to the visual design inspiration, for me it goes usually 2 ways. I either go on Dribble and I look for, say that I'm looking for a website design for something specific, but most of the times I can simply go into the web design part of Dribble and try and find some designs which are of inspiration, and then I could, for example, select this one, add it in Figma, and then try and take some visual inspiration from this and create a unique solution. So this is the first way that you can go about it, which makes it so much easier than staring at a white canvas and you having to basically create everything from scratch without any visual reference. So I always like to have at least a minimum mood board that I can essentially leverage in order to create a unique solution by having some high quality inspiration. Or the other option is going on a website like UI8. My specific, I really like UI8, and it's funny because it's always available except from this time where I'm recording the video, where basically it's they have some upgrades incoming. But what UI8 enables you to have is to find UI kits that you can download, and then you can essentially adjust them according to your specific project. So again, you don't need to start from scratch. You can always go in Figma community, and there's like tons of free UI kits, but I really enjoy the premium UI kits that are available at UI8. So I personally don't mind investing a bit in order to have some more refined resources overall. But nonetheless, there are so many websites that you can leverage for that. But it's either one of those two options. Either I start from a UI kit, or I go on a website like Dribble and basically find and create a mood board that can help me create a website with some inspirations in mind as I'm developing it. So hope this question was answered, and yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot them over.